Hello and welcome back to Versus Live here on our Bant Midrange Gauntlet. Vanquished the Simic Nexus deck in decisive fashion, which I was very impressed by. And now we've got what is going to be the biggest test for the Bant deck. You know, when I was talking with Harlan the other day, preparing for this, when I told him we were playing the mono-red matchup, he said 2 words: good luck.
Well, hopefully that means that I'll win this one, and then we'll have a good third and final match play for the marbles.
Yeah. And you are playing the winning list from the weekend. This is Will Pulliam's list, which notably plays Chandra Fire Artisan over Experimental Frenzy. And I've been told by Director Rob that Will is in the chat right now.
Yes, he is.
Awesome. So he can critique all of your plays. And, we've got his sideboard guide off to the side here. So we'll be playing a pre-board game, and then we'll play, 1 or 2 post-board games with Will's plan. And then if Todd wants to make significant changes, he disagrees with Will, we'll switch over to Will's plan, and then I'll do the same with Harlan's plan for this matchup. And I just want to get to it.
Yeah, we've been burning a lot of time today, so let's just play some more Magic.
This should be a fast matchup, but I want to get in a lot of games of it.
Okay.
Just because I'm a glutton for punishment.
All right, I like this hand. I'm going to keep.
Yeah, Todd's going to be on the play here because he lost match 1. And once again, I don't have Llanowar Elves, and that's kind of a tilt. Okay. But I think this hand is good enough.
It's right on top. Don't you worry. Get 2 Lava Runner. Got my 1 drop.
Okay, I'll play a Temple Garden tap.
Woo. Attack for 1.
19.
All right, I'm going to play Runaway Steamkin, and Ross does not have a whole lot of answers to it, so I'm hoping it will run away with the game.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the scarier cards. I am just going to develop my mana and play an Incubation Druid.
Okay. All right. Okay.
This could be scary if Todd has 2 spells to get the Lava Runner up to a 2/2 and pump the Steamkin. So I don't have a good blocker, but...
Yeah, I don't have it, unfortunately. So I think just to slow Ross down, I'm going to pop the Incubation Druid, put a counter on the Steamkin, and attack for 3, which he does 16.
Okay.
Your turn. It's not... Obviously, Shock would have been much more desirable there, because we could have also played another card in our hand, but I think that was the better play of the 2.
I have to try to slow Todd down, so let's Deputy the Steamkin. I expect this to die to another 3 damage burn spell, but maybe not, because Todd didn't use Shock. Well, I guess, so I know you don't have Shock. I feel like you would have Wizard's Lightninged. I don't know. I guess you wouldn't have Skewered, so maybe you have a Skewer.
All right. Well, that Deputy was actually super good. I kind of wish I had just played these 2 out instead, so we're going to bop you.
That brings me to 12.
Your turn.
We're looking okay so far, but we're in a pretty precarious spot because, 1 burn spell and the Deputy unlocks a lot of attackers. So... and we can't really start attacking ourselves. Let's play this land tapped and get 2 creatures onto the battlefield. Pass the turn. What are we thinking about over there?
I got decisions to make.
Decisions about what? Where to point some removal spells?
Yeah.
The good news at this point is that Todd's hand is so empty that even if he kills Deputy to get Steamkin back, Steamkin's not going to get that big.
Yeah, I think I just have to pop the Growth Chamber and hope, because otherwise he's just going to make a 4/4 that the problem is I can wait until he tries to pump it, but if he just plays the land first, then that is no longer a viable option. So I think I just kind of cut the Hydra off right now before it starts growing more heads. It's not really how you kill a Hydra, though, right? You cut off a head, it gets more heads.
Okay, let's get a Vivian down and minus it.
Yep.
And I like that one.
We really needed a Chandra or something here to top it off, or some way to deal with Deputy.
Pass the turn.
Okay, well, we drew Wizard's Lightning, that's good. So we'll pop Deputy and get this back, and then I'll send this at Vivian. If he wants to chump with the Elf, that's fine, and these 2 at Helm.
I'm at 12.
Yep.
I'm going to play another Elf.
Okay.
And I don't want to trade both Elves away because I'm using 6 mana next turn. And I don't think I care much about Vivian.
Okay.
So I'm going to protect my life total.
So you're at 10.
I've already
Vivian
gotten
down.
a card out of the Vivian.
And you can still play this when Vivian's gone, right?
Yes.
Yep. Your turn.
So I
But
go
you
to
can't
10.
play to instant speed anymore, right?
Correct.
Okay.
I play a 4/4 Crisis.
Pretty good.
Gain 2. I'm at 12. And pass the turn.
All right. Sure, a good one. We'll tick Chandra up. Get a land, play it.
You can play lands off this thing?
Yes. And I will say go. And if he wants to attack it, he's going to take a huge chunk of damage and not have a 4/4 blocker, which is nice.
Now, Will told me about this interaction. And it is a nice one. I will play a Shalai, Voice of Plenty. Chandra deals damage to target player or planeswalker.
Okay.
So, Shalai down.
Yep.
She has to deal damage to herself. Not an opponent controls.
That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, the interaction is very nice for the person who has Shalai. And then we'll play a Growth Chamber Guardian.
That is literally the stupidest interaction I've ever heard of.
I'm glad Will told me about it because
Are you kidding me?
that is not something I would have even thought to read to check. I would just assume Chandra couldn't target herself.
What the hell? Why can't it be opponent or opposing planeswalker?
Yeah.
I'm so mad right now. All right, you win this game. I'm done.
Yeah, at this point, my board is gigantic. I'm going to untap with a Frilled Mystic and a Knight ready to go. The Shalai, really, really good there against Chandra.
Y'all are lucky this is a PG show. That's all I know. I am mad.
Okay, we're going to take a short break here while we get our sideboard set up, courtesy of Harlan Fear and Will Pulliam, and let Todd cool down a little bit.
Oh, no, we're playing red right now. I can be as mad as I want.
Okay, but we'll be back in just a couple minutes. Very short break. Don't go anywhere.
All right, we're here for sideboarding, and from the mono red side of things, we're going to make some drastic changes. Now, a lot of this is because Ross is very good at putting up a lot of small to medium-sized creatures. So a lot of our small, medium-sized creatures get bricked off pretty hard. You saw in that game, 2 Virus and our Pyromancers kind of got locked up by a single Deputy Detention for multiple turns, just couldn't attack, and that was relatively problematic. They also just sort of trade with Llanowar Elves or any other mopey creature that Ross might play that generate some value along the way and just leaves a body lying around. Fanatical Firebrand, another card we can potentially cut. There's a chance that on the draw, these Llanowar Elves decks actually cut Llanowar Elves because of the power of the Goblin Chain Whirler. And Fanatical Firebrand, not great at rumbling against much in this matchup. So we're going to be cutting these 2 creatures. Wizard's Lighting, because we're cutting for the Pyromancers, which leaves us with only 4 wizards left in the deck. Obviously, a lot of our other burn spells still in there, still good. And then 1 Shock for similar reasons because of cutting a lot of the Llanowar Elves and those cheap creatures. Now, the cards we're bringing in, I don't agree with everything, but we're going to do Will Pulliam's version of sideboarding first, and then I'll explain as best I can why I think that maybe some changes need to be made, but I'll wait until after game 2 to do that. Lava Coil, great card in this matchup, clears almost every creature Ross can play, namely, though, Ketra. If a Ketra gets going, don't really have a lot of ways to deal with it. It's really high toughness, which is very problematic. Rekindling Phoenix, very good blocker, as well as Flies, which is huge in the matchup. Can pressure Ross's Planeswalkers pretty well. We don't have to worry that much about removal. The removal he's going to have is not really going to solve the problem for very long. Just Deputy's attention, for the most part, right?
Yeah, you don't see like Conclave Tribunal
Right.
or Ixalan's Binding in this deck.
Now, Ross's deck probably gains some amount of life after sideboard. Tybalt, Rakish Instigator is there to prevent that life gain, while also generating a couple of 1/1s that can chump block, as well as maybe ping off some other creatures along the way. They also trade well with 2/2s or 2 toughness creatures, which is nice. And then 3 copies of Risk Factor to kind of keep the juice flowing. If you're able to get your opponent pretty low on life with a lot of these burn spells, keep them from being able to gain life with Tybalt, Rakish Instigator. Something like a Risk Factor could just, put them in a spot where they just start having to let you draw 3 cards, and that lets you start playing more Lava Coils and things like that to kill creatures. So.
Yeah. When I look at the sideboard plan, what I'm thinking is that Will just wanted to go big.
Yeah.
most decks when they're playing against mono red, they lower their curve and go really small and really lean to keep up with all the cheap creatures and protect their life total. And when you do that, you become vulnerable to the red deck getting bigger. And we've seen red decks board into this bigger plan a lot in the last couple of years.
Yep.
And Will just brought in basically every big card he had, cut all of his lowest impact cards, and just said, you know what, I'm going to go toe-to-toe with you. And eventually, instead of drawing Fanatical Firebrand, I'll draw a Risk Factor off the top while you draw Llanowar Elves. And I'll come out ahead even if we have to play a 6, 7, 8, 10 turn game.
Mm-hmm.
On my side, I'm bringing out a lot of cards that get much worse when you fall behind. Frilled Mystic, you really want to be the person who's ahead so that your opponent is forced to play on their own turn to catch back up. It's also just a 3/2, so it's like dying to shocks, which is a tempo negative play, so that's an easy cut. And then a lot of our Planeswalkers, Teferi's not bouncing anything important here. It would be a lot better if Will was on a experimental frenzy version. Bouncing frenzy is a pretty strong play, but that's about it. And we can't bounce Chandra. And then trimming some of the Vivians to make room for all the cards that we want. We got Deputy and Knight as cheap blockers, Dovin's Veto to protect against those top decked burn spells that, if you watch versus live, Todd's really good at that.
Oh, yeah.
So we got some cheap removal, and we got our heavy hitter and Lyra Dawnbringer here that we can build towards. Even if Todd has a Tibble, like one turn attacking Tibble, then we're good.
Yup. All right. Any questions while we're shuffling up here for game number 2?
Yeah, Nick Yeager wanted to know, were you impressed at all by any of the Grixis decks you saw this weekend?
I got clowned by Zach Canner playing Grixis midrange. He finished, I believe 10-4-1 and in the late 20s in the top 32. I think his deck was very good against what I played, which was Esper Hero. And so, I just had such a big problem dealing with Nicol Bolas and the Planeswalker specifically. Mm-hmm. So, it was impressive against me. I just worry about a deck like that against Nexus and even against Mono Red. You're not really gaining any life in Grixis. Deck doesn't have a ton of pressure. Maybe I'm off on the Mono Red matchup, but I think positioning yourself this week to have a bad Nexus matchup, given that it had a weak performance in week 1, is not a bad place to be.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think, at a certain point, you have to realize that people are going to kind of move off of decks that didn't do well. And in those scenarios, you start getting a lot of different decks gain a lot in popularity. So, all right. Well, my opener is good. We're going to take some more questions here in a moment. Let's see. I wanted to talk a little bit about the card Risk Factor here while we have a moment. So, in my opinion, Risk Factor is a card that you want to bring in against matchups where there is no question on whether or not you're going to be behind on the battlefield. Risk Factor is a really good card when your opponent doesn't actually apply pressure to you. It's really good against things like Esper Control, pretty good against things like Nexus. In this particular matchup, I think what Will's trying to do is he's trying to put the Bant deck in a spot where they have no choice but to let him draw 3 cards, because if they take the damage, there's a chance they just get burned out. You see that with the combination with the plan with Tibble Rakish Instigator. Now, I'm not sure how often that is going to come to fruition. I think it's a lot more theoretical than anything. But he did win his quarterfinal matchup against the deck, right?
Yes.
So, he's got to be doing something right. So we're definitely sticking with this plan for game 2. If I draw some risk factors in some spots where I'm behind, there's a good chance that I'm going to be cutting them, especially because Ross just has Shalai in his deck, and there's a chance he plays it and risk factor just doesn't do anything, which is pretty scary, pretty scary prospect.
Yeah, Will had said the idea with risk factor was it was a way of winning on a board with loss due to a catchment.
Well, I don't think that that's necessarily true, because they can just give you a bunch, some cards. I mean, let me be clear. There is a chance the risk factor is very good, so I'm gonna try it. But if it comes up where I'm just really far behind on board and Ross still a decent life total, I am under the impression the risk factor is not super good in this matchup, but we're gonna definitely give it a shot.
Okay, so I've mulliganed a 1-lander into another 1-lander.
But you're on the draw with an elf.
I think this one's close enough that I keep it. And this card is not what I need here.
All right. Get you Lava Runner. Your turn.
Interland Harbor.
Oh, no elf for you, huh? Attack.
19.
I'm going to Steamkin.
Okay. Well, at least it's another land. I do have an elf, though. Just split another corner of a sleeve.
Classic. All right. Well,
All lands. Don't play any spells. What did I just say?
wrong one. Back for 3.
16.
Here we go. Played this game a little weird. I'm going to explain why shortly, but...
Attack for 1.
What the hell? So you're not using it for mana and you're not blocking. I guess that's the joke. But that probably means you... What if you just have a catcher the next turn? Like you just go land thing. Maybe it's deputy detention. I'm going to block.
Trade.
You're pretty low on resources. My hand is really good.
You can go. Based on the texture of my hand, I don't think that Llanowells is doing anything. I think the best thing you could have done was trade for that Steamkin.
Sure.
I need to draw a land to turn on my hand anyway. If I draw that land, the Llanowells is irrelevant. I got a 12. That is really good.
All right. I'm gonna say go.
And I think that'll do it. You're up. We don't want to end a turn that risk factor.
Why? You just literally do it at any point.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Now I have more information.
Yeah. You're right.
All right. Risk factor you.
So if I take 4, I go to 8, and then you lightning strike me to 5, and then attack me to 5. Attack me 4/5, and that puts me to 0, and that's a problem.
So I'm gonna draw 3 cards.
Take your cards.
Oh, risk factor looking pretty good right there. Okay.
Yeah.
I will lightning strike you.
I go to 9.
I will light up dumb stages again. We're going off, Ross.
Yep.
Land for turn.
Attack me for 6, and then lightning strike me,
That's the plan.
and that'll work. Yeah, I had a bunch of 3-mana white cards in my hand, so that Llanowell seemed really bad.
No, that's fair. I mean, the block for me was mostly I have a coil for another mana creature. I have a coil for a deputy if you play it there. But Steamkins are just going to get a lot worse if you do have a deputy there. You're a little low in resources. You had kind of a stumbly draw. And it didn't have a Hallowed Fountain, but it might have a Sunpetal Grove or something like that, So,
yeah.
I don't know. I thought the only way I lost that game was if you potentially just played another mana creature and then a catcher on the following turn. So I don't know.
Makes sense. Okay, one more game with this configuration.
Yeah, for sure. We drew the risk factor. You were pretty low on life, so.
But we noted you noted that risk factor is good when you're you're going to be ahead.
Yeah.
And you got ahead that game because I stumbled, so the risk factor was certainly good. The question is, how often is it a liability when they're able to keep parity with you and turn the corner?
Yeah,
So,
I think the trick is just going to be making sure I keep you off your mana creatures so you have a slower time developing.
Yeah.
Like I think I leave your Growth Chamber Guardians and stuff like that alone. I just pop your mana creatures.
Makes sense. That will also likely force me to shock more often, so I have more untapped lands.
Yep. All right, question or two?
Yes, Tiki Jiki was wondering, what do you think about the blue-white Super Friends deck that Ben Reagan played and developed with Zach Elson?
Played against that deck last night on Magic
I
Online.
also got second in a PTQ
and
or MCQ.
that deck just never ran out of gas.
Yeah.
Just kept going.
Yeah.
It was the Energizer Bunny.
Well, I'm going to keep this hand, but I think this hand is actually just a prime reason why you can't play Risk Factor in this matchup, because we are basically going to kill everything Ross plays until we don't.
And then deal me 8 damage.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I have a 2/2 that's probably getting shocked.
Yeah, I'll just shock. It's fine.
Yeah. All right.
Your turn?
I know you said you leave those alone, but clearly I don't have a mana creature if I just played that turn 2.
Yeah, and the way my hand's set up, I think I just fired off on literal everything.
So minus is Viv.
Okay.
And... Which one of these do I want? It's an interesting question, actually. I think because I can play this next turn, I'd rather have the more impactful card, but I'm not sure. You can go.
All right. Well, I can kill the Vivian here with the Lightning Strike, or I can just hold it and maybe do it the turn after. So basically, I'm casting Light Up the Stage next turn, like almost 100% for 3 mana. And then what's going to happen is if I hit 2 removal spells, if they're just regular burn spells, I want to have a target for them. And if I kill the Vivian, Ross can just play a land, say go. And then I just don't have targets for my burn spells. I just have to throw them at the face. And I don't think that that's something that I want to happen. So
This is a very slow line, though, to like light up the stage when you already have a bunch of stuff in your hand. So,
yeah.
Granted, I'm not really pressuring you.
Yeah, well, okay. One of these is going bye-bye. The other one's going to go and play next turn.
Yep. Okay, I am going to plus the Vivian without a target and pass the turn.
All right, play this. Just don't even know if I care about Vivian anymore. So I know Ross has Veto in his deck. All right, I'm going to try to play Tybalt.
I will respond to Tybalt with a 2/2 Hydra Crisis. Gain 1, draw 1. I'm at 21.
Okay. And I think I'm just going to leave... Let's see. No, we'll make a thing.
A devil?
Make a devil. Your turn.
Okay, not a bad draw. I don't think I care much about Vivian at this point. I'd rather just get some more creatures because I still have a couple lands. So, yeah, that's a creature. These are not. And I will attack the Tybalt. This effectively trades with the devil.
Mm-hmm.
And pass the turn.
All right, draw for turn. I'm going to play Goblin Chain Whirler. Would you like to respond?
Yep. I will respond with an Oketra.
Yikes.
I'm going to take 1 to 20. And I think I'm going to take this attack because right now the Hydra Crisis has a damage on it. So even if I eat the devil, I lose the Crisis. So, and I'm at 20, so I'll go to 19. I want this Crisis to take down the Tybalt, though maybe it can't. Go. It's pretty cute. Pretty cute.
Well, now I'm just dead. Ross just Aketra's into like 2 tokens or whatever, probably.
I guess I don't want to attack with the Oketra first because Todd can block with Chain Whirler and Lightning Strike, and I want to get tokens this turn. So let's play a Llanowar Elves and get a 4/4.
Sure.
And then I'll play a Shalai and get a 4/4, which makes your Lightning Strike pretty bad.
Yep.
And then
I might Lightning Strike the Crisis response, but then it doesn't really matter. Whatever.
Okay, send the Crisis at Tybalt and the Oketra at you.
All right.
Take 6,
14.
14, play this tapped and pass the turn. Yeah, this card's messed up.
Yeah, Aketra's very, very good. All right, I'm going to coil the Shalai. I'm going to attack with these 2.
I will double block the Chain Whirler, so that way 1 burn spell does not keep the Chain Whirler alive.
Okay, I will first strike.
Okay,
Yeah,
I take 1, go to 18.
Dead. Whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
Doesn't matter what. Ketra at instant speed, very, very tough to deal with. Could have maybe just killed the... I could have also mulliganed. My hand was just like 2 lands, light up the stage, 4 removal spells or whatever. It's not super good, but...
Did you have a risk factor?
No.
Never did anything? Okay. Do you want to change some sideboarding?
Kinda, not really. I mean, I think I just don't want... I want to try it without the risk factors and just have a few other interactive things.
I agree. I'm not a fan of risk factor. I'd rather have the other shock and
I'm not the hugest fan of Tybalt in this matchup either, but I don't really know what I want instead.
Lyra Krasis Knight. Feels like you kind of need it.
Sure.
I know Patrick Sullivan always says never cut pyromancers.
I know. I am aware of what Peasley says. I have to hear about it every time I hang out with him. Burn orbit? You want to go around an orbit? Kinda, yeah. All right, we're gonna trim the 2 Tybalts as well, and I think
Just bring in all 4 pyromancers if that's the Peasley plan. Keep the Wizard's Lightnings and cut the 2 skewers. Because you have all the wizards again.
yeah, that's fair. Yeah, skewer there was actually heinous, and if I had a Wizard's Lightning, I might have actually. I don't know.
Yeah, like you want your burn spells to be clearing away blockers, right? And skewer's pretty bad at that.
Yeah, that's true.
So it seems like your worst burn spell.
So we're gonna trim the risk factor, skewer, and Tybalt. Bring back in the pyromancers, the shocks, and the Wizard's Lightning. I'm actually not sold though that the pyromancer is better in this matchup than Fanatical Firebrand, because I mean you showed me in that game that you just left in Llanowar Elves. Fanatical Firebrand helps turn on my light up the stages a lot more easily too, but it's mostly irrelevant. I mean, basically, it's just deputy detention is just a huge issue for Pyromancer.
You can probably play Young Pyromancer and Wizard's Lightning, or Fanatical Firebrand and Skewer, right?
Yep, something like that.
Those you just have to choose which package you want.
All right, let's play one more game, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, we should play 2 more games, but we're actually lowish on time.
Well, I'm a pretty big fan of the way Harlan sided in this matchup, so I'm not making any changes.
Okay.
Don't tell Harlan that. Yeah, this hand seems fine.
All right. Love Runner game.
It got a lot worse.
How does one draw set make it that much worse?
You'll find out. I'll go to 18 and play Lone Worlds.
All right. Tag for 1.
17.
Go. Guessing you just like don't have a color and you just drew a bunch of double white spells or something.
Attack for 1.
19.
Incubation Druid.
Yeah, kill a druid. Chain one there. Attack for 1.
So I'm at 17 or 15. Yeah.
Go.
That is this is bad news. Growth Chamber Guardian. You're up.
Shock it. Attack for 5.
I'm at 10.
Chain Whirler down to 9. Go. Play this deck a lot. If y'all haven't noticed, this is like one of my. Oh, okay, that makes more sense.
My draw step is the 3rd Growth Chamber Guardian.
Sure. All right. Attack for 8. So trade here. Go to 3 or jump. Luckily, the first strike on the Chain Whirlers makes it so he can't actually do anything.
Yeah,
so.
trade and go to 3.
All right. I'll Pyromancer you down to 1.
So that'll lock it up. I need it. If you had nothing left, I could draw a Baffling End here and be stable, but now I don't think there's anything I can draw because I don't have a second white. I can't draw Lyra. Yeah, I just have Vivian Druid, and that's not close to good.
Ooh, Chandra. I was going to draw a mountain. All right. Okay, so we went 2-2, but that game I was just on the play with a pretty solid draw. Ross stumbled, died. Yeah. I mean, he had mana creature, growth chamber, double growth chamber. It wasn't like a bad draw. It was a bad draw, but I'm saying like he had lands and spells and he played a bunch of spells, but my spells just lined up really well against his.
Yeah, I needed like a deputy or a baffling end in there.
All right, we're gonna play one more because I can't have another tie.
Yeah,
and I gotta try to. You gotta give me a shot to win the marble.
Yeah, we're definitely playing one more.
We can go a little long today. It's fine.
We'll only play 3 games of the next matchup because it'll probably be long games.
Yeah, we're playing with Esper Control versus. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're just gonna clown me. You have a lot of really unreasonable cards against the control deck.
That is what Zach Allen told me when I talked to him.
Nice.
Okay, I get to be on the play here for game 5. Yep. And
I lost my notches. Let's see, this is game 9?
I haven't had.
You
I had
only
what?
did- that was the first time in this match.
Yeah. Ugh. Oh, this hand almost looked so good.
Quickly.
Yeah, I don't think you can keep a hand that doesn't do anything on the first 2 turns. Like it's a very solid hand, just has 3 check lands.
Holy moly. I thought you sided out all the Vivians. Or did you only bring out 2 of the 3 or something?
2 of the 4.
There's 4 baby Vivians in there?
Yeah,
Nice.
it's the card that makes the deck tick.
It is very, very good. Every time you've had it, it's looked phenomenal.
Yeah.
Even in this matchup, it's like, well, I can spend time and resources to kill it, but you've already gotten a card out of it.
Yeah.
And at that point, all it really does is make things be cast at instant speed, but things cast at instant speed is scary. How do I play around it?
He continues to make Skewer worse.
Yep. Get this card out of my deck. Yeah, I've been toying with variations on red for the last 2 days, and I've found that 8 wizards, as always, is just enough for 4 wizards lightning, and I just hate Skewer the Critics as a card. You almost always want to use your burn spells, either if they're going to go to the face, like Wizard's Lightning for 3 mana to the face is pretty expensive, right? Like that's whatever, but like clearing a blocker for 1 mana is ridiculous, and Wizard's Lightning is just so good at doing that.
This is a solid 6. Scried to the bottom there. Just didn't need another land. And let's play an Incubation Druid. So this is a free attack. And if Todd has Fanatical Firebrand, he can finish off the Druid. But you boarded those out.
Which you know.
And if you have double shock, you're able to just send them both upstairs and eat the Druid for free. Thing is, if you have double shock and I don't block, you could just go shock Druid, shock me, and get the 2 damage in. And so you have the option of doing the same thing.
Yeah, if you're 100% on board out Firebrand, which I don't know is necessarily even correct, just block. It's fine. Take 2. Irritate
18.
Go.
Growth Chamber Guardian.
Sure.
Pass the turn.
All right. Attack.
Oh, now you can just have Chain Whirler.
Yeah.
Okay. So now I have to take the 3. I'm at 15.
I mean, you can trade Growth Chamber for Pyromancer if you want.
No, I want this Growth Chamber around.
2, 3, so you go to 15.
Actually, do I?
Okay.
I think I screwed this up. I don't like how I played this turn. I thought this was more important than it was. I'm not sure it is.
You can still block. Turn is not gone by that quickly.
Yeah. Okay, I'll block here and take 1 to 16 or no
17.
17.
All right, I'm actually going to pass the turn. On your upkeep, I'm going to Lightning Strike your Incubation Druid. I'm doing this because if I main phase it, he can just veto, untap, and then play a Ketra. Pretty sure he has veto. Yeah, it's fine. Just want to try to keep him off Ketra as long as possible. Sure.
You can go.
Needed a land. Zonkia.
15.
Go.
Okatra.
Yeah, of course you have a Ketra. Why would you not?
Well, I don't have a hand, so that's at least one good sign.
Well, I'm just going to lose because I didn't draw a land and you had the Baffling Ends. I did bluff the heck out of you, though, so that felt good. Kill this. Go.
Creature. You're up.
All right. Play a Chain Whirler.
14.
Go.
Creature. You're up.
Steamkin, go.
Creature.
Brick again.
Think I just, well, you have
3 cards.
the problem is Chain Whirler can like attack into this, but you didn't last turn, so I don't think you have the Lightning Strike. And this has to get to a 4/4 to be able to attack into the Oketra. You only have 3 cards, so I don't think you're casting a ton of spells off this. I think I take the Chain Whirler.
Okay.
You can go.
Go.
Creature. Okay, that'll probably be a creature.
Um.
Oh, are we responding or?
Yeah, I might shotgun response. Like, I also don't know that you don't have Frilled Mystic in your deck anymore.
Yeah.
Um.
I think shocking.
And-
Like you definitely would need to kill the Vivian, so
Yeah.
shocking in response makes the most sense. I will select this one. That was scary. I saw 2 very good spells that were not creatures, but we hit on the last one. So let's play this, and
Hold this up.
so I got a 4/4,
Okay.
and I'm at 14. Do I just want a 4/3?
You should just gain 4 life.
Probably. Like
Pretty
4.
sure the only way you lose is if I just burn you out at this point.
I agree. I just don't think the 4/3 is super valuable.
All right. I agree with that. All right.
I was thinking about attacking with this Oketra, but okay.
I'll take 6.
On my previous turn.
Whatever. 14.
Okay, are you going to attack into my board?
I don't know, but if I have coil and I coil this and attack you for like 20 damage or whatever, like you actually start to.
I'm at 18. I would trade here and take 5 or
I'm
so.
at 14. Here you go.
But
It's fine.
I was going to think about it and make you wait, and then you were going to get mad, and
Yeah.
you deprived me of that joy.
Yes. Good.
So you're at 14.
Yes.
I'm at 18.
Yes.
That Rekindling Phoenix is scary.
I agree. Growth Chamber.
Deputy. Make a 4/4.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Attack.
I will take 10. I'm at 4.
Pass the turn.
I will play a Chandra. Tick this up.
Okay.
Chandra ticks up. Reveals Steamkin. I will play my land. I will minus this.
It lets you play it the entire turn.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm done. I have another Phoenix. I guess I can just chump block a bunch, but whatever. Go.
Okay, so that's exiled. You're at 4, so you have to block all 3 of these. So, what happens if I attack with everything? These 3 all get blocked, so you can't kill the Deputy. So the Deputy is a safe attack. I guess unless you put the Phoenix in front of the Deputy.
Yeah.
And just
I
chump block.
I think I'm going to do, honestly.
So that would leave you with just 2 Phoenixes and Chandra, and at 2 life.
So I have to draw blocker, and you have to draw brick. I guess you didn't have brick.
Send everything to you.
Okay. Trips jump and get my Phoenix back.
Yep. So you take 2 from the Knight, brings you to 2. Play Llanowar Elves and get a 4/4. And this is one of the awesome things about Oketra and a mana creature deck. It's a threat that lets you make use of your mana creatures late in the game.
Mhm.
And that is a really important, tactical addition to any deck, mid-range mana creature deck.
All right, you win. If he hadn't drawn the Deputy that turn, I had a chance just because the Phoenix was able to block all the 4/4s. He can't really apply pressure. I have the second Phoenix. I can start attacking. My Steamkins can get up to 4/4s and trade with the zombies. And I just have a Phoenix to potentially just block a Ketra to protect my life total. That game was just a show of strength on just a Ketra because Ross had literally nothing. Played a Ketra, bricked 3 turns or whatever, and just beat me anyway. So I don't know. I needed to draw a land in one spot to be able to 3-mana Wizard's Lightning, but Skewer the Critics wouldn't have done anything either because I had no creatures on the battlefield.
To be fair, it's not like I had nothing leading into the Oketra. Like I was down resources, but I'd use them to trade with you. My life total was still pretty high.
That's not what I mean.
Yeah.
I just meant like you cast a Ketra as the last card in your hand, and I lost. And like you brick 3 times and I lost. I spent my entire first few turns killing stuff. You spent your first few turns killing stuff, and then Oketra literally just won the game.
Yeah, Oketra was enough by itself to take over the game, so it allows you to play more cheap early interaction because it will carry the long game. So yeah, that makes perfect sense. And it was so powerful that it by itself stabilized the battlefield against 3 attackers. Mm-hmm. So that bought me time, and that's what bought me time to work through those lands. And as soon as I draw, one creature, it just snowballed from there. And I hit 3 creatures in a row at that point, 3 or 4 creatures in a row. And
yeah, that's also the danger from the red side of having 4 4-mana cards with your 20 lands and then boarding in more 4-mana cards, because you saw in that game, I needed like anything to continue to apply pressure in the early turns, and instead I just had 2 Chandras and a Phoenix stuck in my hand, and then I drew a second Phoenix. Or sorry, I had 1 Phoenix and 2 Phoenix, 1 Chandra. But
yeah,
and I just like couldn't really put Ross under any amount of pressure. But I mean, the Aketra is just this giant brick wall that you really don't have a good answer to. It has to be a combination of things or just overwhelming them.
Yeah. I mean, in a 20 land deck, so a third of your deck is lands, you got to see 12 cards on average to see 4 lands. You're on the draw, so that's turn 5. And, that's, expectation, but you miss that by a turn or 2. And those are the turns where I was floundering with lands. So if you hit the land early, maybe those Phoenixes come down and take up the game. But in a 20 land deck, that's going to happen a good portion of the time. So
yeah, I mean, there's a chance that the flying matters a lot for the Phoenix in this particular matchup, as like a justification for it being in the deck. I might be under the assumption that something like Legion Warboss might be slightly better. If all I'm trying to do is just point burn spells at all your blockers, there's a chance that a single Legion Warboss combined with a bunch of removal is enough to steal a game. Whereas something like Phoenix, like I need to have that in tandem with like a bunch of other, I guess like creatures or something. And it takes a lot longer to actually win the game. And since a lot of your removal is exile based, right? Like you have, Deputy and
yeah, I mean, I have Baffling End instead, but I could pretty easily have some good answer to it. I could even play like the Plummet that puts the flyer on the graveyard. But this was the matchup everybody told me was going to be bad, and then I won 3 out of 5 games. Granted, the 2 games I lost, I got absolutely murderated.
Yeah,
and the 3 games I won felt pretty close. The first one I think was a pretty big runaway.
I think game 1 I just messed up. Like, I had a Lightning Strike as my 2-drop. Or a Vaishno Pyromancer, and if I just like let you have your Incubation Druid for a turn, I think I'm fine. And I just ended up burning a turn to cast a Lightning Strike on Incubation Druid. Got absolutely demolished by a Deputy Detention that I just didn't have an answer for, and then I just kind of petered out. I got stuck on lands or whatever. So like, I think that's just like. You need to understand when it's important to play your spells versus your creatures. And in that particular scenario, I think I just pointed the wrong spell at the wrong time.
Yeah, that makes sense. Definitely got punished for it. But still, regardless of how things might have played differently in those 5 games, that matchup did not feel terrible.
No.
Like maybe you're behind, but certainly feels winnable, and like you can do some more with your sideboard to help it out.
Counter spells are not generally that great against mono red, because if you're behind, like they're just kind of bad, and you just need ways to catch up, like removal spells or big things that gain life or whatever. And like obviously you want stroke and veto against the control decks, but like you could just have 3 veto and not worry about the stroke, and then just like having 1 more extra slot there. Maybe like, was that time wipe? Like a time wipe can be something else.
There's 2 time wipes on the board.
Yeah, but like if Simic or Sultai is not like around, time wipe's like whatever.
Might be necessary in the mirror if the deck is popular. But there's 2 Vivians we left in that presumably you want out of the deck. Although they didn't seem that bad when I was casting them, so maybe that's fine. But I'm just very impressed by this Bant deck.
Yeah, it's been really strong. Like almost everything about it for sure. So if you're on the fence about it, I think you should go ahead and just dive in, give it a shot for yourself, get a spin on Arena if you got the cards on there, or the wild cards to construct it. It seems super good. And we got one more match coming up though. So we're going to take a short break here while we get that set up. It's going to be Esper Control. And this is going to be
Zach Allen.
Yeah, and this is going to be pretty tough for Esper just because there's so many cheap planeswalkers. A lot of the creatures generate multiple card advantage on their own, so we'll see how it goes, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back for more Versus Live right after this.